We have a huge amount of diversity as a species. We travel the world, walk down the street in a major city like Washington or New York, and we see people who seem to be so different from each other and from ourselves. We as population geneticists are trying to address the question of, well, what is it that led to us being so successful, and how do we explain these patterns of diversity that we see when we look around the world? Are we in fact all related to each other? And if so, how closely? And the other question is one of journey. If we do spring from a common source as a species, how do we come to occupy every corner of the globe? In the process, generating these patterns of diversity that we see today in all 7 billion of us, and growing. Well, historically, these questions have been approached through the study of stones and bones, often the field of paleoanthropology and, of course, archaeology, its sister science, going out and digging things up out of the ground and guessing at how they may relate to individuals living in the present. The problem is, I would like to suggest, as a geneticist, while the field of paleoanthropology and the field of archaeology as well give us certain insights into our past, possibilities about origins and journeys of the people alive today, they don't give us the probabilities about direct lines of descent that we really want. Possibilities about our ancestry, but not the probabilities that we're looking for as scientists. We as geneticists take a slightly different approach. We start in the present, we work our way back into the past. We take a genealogical approach. It's in effect like building a family tree for everybody alive today. Now, genealogy is currently the second most popular hobby in the United States after gardening, and I think it's poised to overtake gardening very soon. Now, the problem is, everybody who's ever tried to construct a family tree eventually hits what we call a brick wall in the genealogical community. A point beyond which there is no written record. And beyond that point, we simply enter this dark and mysterious realm we call history, and ultimately prehistory. But it turns out there is a written document, in effect, that we're all carrying around inside of ourselves, in our DNA, inside of nearly every cell in our body. DNA that we've inherited from those parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. And this traces an unbroken line of descent going back in time. This is what allows us to trace back to the very earliest days of our species, allowing this global genealogical approach to the study of human history. So by looking at people from all over the world, asking, in effect, a very open-ended scientific question, what is the pattern of human variation that we see today globally? Looking in particular at two pieces of DNA that have proven to be incredibly valuable in the study of human origins and migrations, mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, which traces a purely maternal line of descent. Women pass it on to their children. Everybody has it, but only women pass it on. So if you have mitochondrial DNA, which everyone in the room does, you got it from your mom, and she got it from her mom, and she got it from her mom. So it tells you about your mother's 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 mother, back to the very first mother. There is an equivalent piece of DNA on the male side. In fact, the chunk of DNA, the little chromosome, as we call it, the Y chromosome, that makes men men. But basically, it traces a purely paternal line of descent, an unbroken line of descent going back in time. Sons inherit it from their fathers, they got it from their fathers, and so on. The Y chromosome. By looking at the pattern of these genetic variants, these random changes that have occurred over time on both of these lineages, we can construct family trees for everybody alive today. It's a fascinating way of approaching the study of human history, because we, as people who study primarily modern human lineages, are getting only a glimpse of the actual process that went on to create that. So it's a huge addition to our understanding of the past.